Hey everyone, Ryan here at etrailer. Today on our 2022 Jeep Cherokee, we're going to be showing you how to install the Curt base plate kit. Before we do that though, let's take a minute, we'll check this out and make sure it's going to be the right setup for you. When it comes to setting up a Cherokee to be flat-toed, they're really popular and there's going to be a lot of different options out there as far as base plates are concerned. So I could see how it could be a little overwhelming or confusing trying to pick one out. So hopefully today we can kind of clear that up for you a little bit and get you started in the right direction. With that in mind, a base plate is going to be one of 5 main components that you're going to need to flat tow your Jeep. The other 4 are going to be your tow bar, which is the connection point. That'll be go to the front of your Jeep to the back of your motorhome. You'll have safety cables, which are just going to be there in the event of an unlikely disconnect, keep you paired together. You'll have your tow bar wiring, which will transfer all the lighting functions to the back of your Jeep. And you'll also have a supplemental braking system, which will apply the brakes in your Cherokee when you hit the brakes in your coach. Like I said, because there are so many options when it comes to base plates, this is where it's really important to use our fit guide and enter in all of your Jeep's information in regards to submodels and things like that. So with the Curt base plate, this will fit the Trailhawk models, which is actually what we have here today, as well as a lot of the other submodels. So once you figure that out, you also want to check our tech tips and installation notes and kind of go from there, because some of these Cherokees will have active air shutters and some other things kind of going on, and you want to inspect your Jeep, make sure if you have that or not, and that'll help you figure out if a particular base plate is going to work or not. With that said though, with the Curt base plate, I am a fan of the appearance of it. I don't really think it can look a whole lot better. It just comes through the openings here where our tow hooks originally were. And so it's really not noticeable. It doesn't look out of place by any means, at least in my opinion. As a matter of fact, a lot of the other manufacturers are going to look very similar to this, sit in the same location and things like that. When you're ready to use the base plate, it's going to be straightforward. You have these little caps that you can pop out, which I do like. I think it looks better and keeps the inside clean when you're not using it. You'll have these removable arms that you put in and you rotate them about a quarter turn. They'll lock into place. We have the same setup over on the other side here. Whenever you're ready to actually hook up to your tow bar, it's a really simple design, and usually we like to actually be behind your motorhome and show you what's going on and everything, but the weather today, just not feasible. So we're making do here and still giving you an idea. This will be a tow bar end, and you'll just line that up with the removable arm and put a pin and clip through there, and that's how you would connect the tow bar end. As far as what tow bars will be compatible with the Curt base plate, of course your Curt tow bars, Blue Ox tow bars, which that's what style end this is here. And even if you have a different manufacturer, let's say a Roadmaster for example, for one they carry tow bars right out of the box that have the Blue Ox style end that is compatible, or a lot of times you can get adapters. So if you already have, just say a Roadmaster tow bar, chances are pretty good. You can swap the ends out, pair them up, and that's going to hold true for pretty much all the big names out there, Demco, etrailer, so on and so forth. Now, something to look out for, especially if you already have a tow bar, you're in the market for one, is the spread here of our tabs is pretty wide, and that's just kind of the nature of this vehicle where these have to go. It's going to be 37 1/4 of an inch from tab to tab, and some tow bars aren't going to be rated to be able to spread out that far and have such a wide attachment point. it just won't function properly. So pay attention to that if you know, you're in the market for that tow bar. One thing that I do wish came included with the base plate, some of them have it, some of them don't. Of course, ours does not today, would be a bracket to make it easier to mount up your wiring and everything like that. So you will have to come up with something to get this mounted. What we did here today is we used a Roadmaster 6-way round connector plug bracket, as well as a no drill short bracket. And by doing that, it allowed us to attach these components to our actual bumper beam behind the fascia and get them to a spot where we could have access to them. Other than that, not a whole lot to it. You know, it's a nice setup and seems to work well with the Cherokee. You know, it's going to work with a lot of different Cherokees and a lot of different tow bars, so can't really ask for too much more. When it comes to the installation side of things, this particular one isn't too bad. You know, when it comes to base plates in general, you are going to have to remove the front fascia, and everything's pretty easy to get to. You know, nothing too crazy there. If you're someone who doesn't feel like messing with it or don't have the time, I get it. You can always use our dealer locator network to hopefully help you find a shop that can do this for you. But if you are installing it yourself, feel free to hang around. We'll go ahead and get started on it now. To begin our installation, we're going to be here at the front of our Jeep, and you can open up the hood. And first thing we're going to do is remove this radiator cover. So there's some plastic push pin fasteners holding it in, and you'll have one in the center, the very middle of the Jeep. And to get these out, you just take a trim tool or even a flathead screwdriver, pry underneath the head of it, then work the base out. And then on each side, we're going to have 6 more, kind of just scattered throughout. And from this point on, whatever we do to one side of our Jeep, we're also going to do to the other side, because it'll be set up the same way. Once you get all the push pins out, we should be able to lift up on the cover and set it off to the side. With that cover out of the way, that'll expose a fastener here. It's a T27 that we'll need to get removed from each side. Moving to our front wheel wells, we'll have 3 8mm head screws that we can remove. And it definitely helps if you turn your tires in or out all the way one way or the other. Get our 8mm socket, pull all these out. Once that is done, kind of just take your liner here, push that out of the way, and that'll allow us to get to a fastener up here in this area. Where the fascia is going to meet your quarter panel on the inside here, there's going to be a 10mm head fastener attaching the two together. So we will remove it. On the bottom side of our Jeep, in front of our front tire, there's going to be a rivet that we need to drill out. So I just have a small size bit. It's probably like a 1/4 inch. We're just going to drill out through the center of it. So that's how that comes out. Once you drill the head off, that whole center piece will come down. And then if we move along the front edge, we're going to have a total of 4 10mm head bolts. So this one here, and this one here, and of course 2 just like it on the other side. We're going to remove this skid plate just to give us more room to work, and it kind of looks like it's sandwiching our fascia to the support anyway. So along the back edge of this, we'll have 4 13mm head bolts. And along the front edge, we'll have 3. With these, it looks like you don't have to completely remove them. Just loosen them up about halfway. Should be able to slide this towards the back and get it removed from our vehicle. We can start to get our fascia removed now, and the areas that we're going to be working on, I put some painter's tape just so we don't accidentally scratch anything up. You want to start at the corner, and what I like to do is just kind of work everything to help loosen it up. And there's going to be a tab. It's kind of tricky to see where that bolt was going through. Let me remove from here. You could take a screwdriver and just carefully kind of pry down on this. Just going to continue to work this down here. So we get it to release here. Just like that. It's going to unsnap. And then you want to get, so that's what was going up. This little piece here was going up into it. And so by carefully kind of prying it down, you know, you're able to pop it free. And then these clips will just kind of unsnap. And you want to get to this point as well on the other side. With an extra set of hands, we can get the fascia removed now, and you're just going to kind of work it off there. It'll unclip, and you may or may not have some electrical wiring to disconnect. Looks like in our case, we're going to have this. So you pull back on that yellow tab there, and you can pull up on that red deal. It'll unclip it. And it looks like we're good from there, so we can set this off to the side. We can get our tow hooks removed. So on the bottom side here, you can take a 16mm socket, pull these bolts out, and then you want to push it towards the back. And on the end of the tow hook rod here, there's going to be a nut that we can remove, so we'll have to come in from underneath to get to it. Here's the nut right here, and by doing it the way we just did, you don't even need to bother with the wrench 9 times out of 10. If you can't unscrew this by hand, you might have to put the 2 bolts back in, tighten it down, break this loose with an adjustable wrench, and then go through this process. But like I said, pretty much every single time, you're going to be able to just spin this off by hand. So once that's off, the tow hook can then get pulled out of position and set off to the side. Can remove these little aluminum extensions here. And so on ours, we have this metal clip. And I'm just going to use a pair of snips to get it removed. The majority of them are going to be a 10mm nut. Either way, it has to come off. Then we'll switch out to a 15mm socket. We'll have 3 bolts, 2 over here. And 1 right here. We can get it pulled off from our Jeep. You can grab our base plate now, and these are side specific, so check the instructions, make sure you got the right one, but pretty easy to tell. The tow hook portion here should be facing, you know, towards the center. Before we put this up there too, if you look on the back side of it, we're gonna have a threaded hole, And eventually we'll take a long bolt that'll go through the frame and thread into this. Well, sometimes powder coat and whatnot can get kind of caked up on the threads and make it hard to start this bolt, especially when this is on the vehicle, just because you don't have a whole lot of room. So I like to take the bolt and just make sure you can get it started. Kind of clean them threads out, and if you have to, you can take a 3/4 inch socket, just turn it by hand to kind of clean everything out there. We'll grab this and we'll take one of the factory bolts that we were using for our tow hook, and I'm going to put some blue Loctite on the threads for our fasteners that we're going to use. This will just sit into position like that. Take this bolt, get it started. And for these 3 attachment points, we're going to take the factory hardware. I put Loctite on those threads as well. We'll get all 3 of these going. Just make sure to hold our base plate up tight and flat against our vehicle. We'll snug this bolt down. And then these 3. And then you want to come back with a torque wrench and tighten this hardware down to the amount specified in the instructions, starting with this one first. Underneath the vehicle now, we can take that long bolt and a conical tooth washer. You want to make sure that the teeth on the washer are going to face away from the head of the bolt. And you have this big flat washer, put that on. And this is going to go through here and thread into the base plate like we talked about. We'll come back with our 3/4 inch socket, snug it down, and we'll grab our torque wrench and get it completely tightened. At this point, you want to grab the included safety cables, and with these, you just wrap them around your frame. So I wrapped them around twice actually, because they're pretty long, and then use the included link here to connect them to that opening in our base plate. Get them all secured down, and something that I like to do is just take zip ties, and every here and there, zip tie them up. That way it'll kind of tighten everything up, and you won't have to worry about these rattling or anything like that when you're going down the road. Now would be a great time to install some of your other flat towing components, like your tow bar and diode wiring, your supplemental braking system, things like that. And I say that because with the fascia off, you just have a lot more room to work and route wires and everything else. So that's exactly what I'm gonna do. And once we have that wrapped up, we can come back and get our fascia reinstalled. I got the rest of our components mounted up to the front of our Jeep. And as far as getting the fascia back on, we shouldn't have to make any modifications to it in regards to it working with their base plate. This should just come right through those factory tow hook openings. As far as our electrical and stuff that we mounted up here, we'll probably have to cut an opening out in the grill. Now keep in mind, how you set yours up might be a little bit different than mine. So what I'll do is I'll just roughly get the fascia in place, kind of see what we need to do. If we need to create an opening, we can do that and kind of go from there. I was able to get our fascia in place here, and as far as the base plate goes, like we thought, we didn't have to trim anything. It just fit right through the factory openings there. So that was pretty convenient. As far as getting our wiring connectors and everything to clear, I did have to just trim out a small portion of the grill, allow everything to pass, but that was really about it. It went back together pretty smooth. Don't forget to plug any electrical connectors back in. But once all that is sorted, then you can simply just re-secure the entire fascia the opposite way that we removed it. And with everything put back together, we are good to go. And that'll finish up our look at and our installation of the Curt base plate kit on our 2022 Jeep Cherokee.